Hi there, how are you doing? Today I'm going to talk about a principle in automation that was actually created for the manufacturing industry, but works equally well in software automation. And it's a principle that I think you'll find really helpful in applying to your business so that you can work out what needs to be automated and how that automation should happen. So I'm not talking about Lean, I'm not talking about Kanban, I'm talking about the USA principle. And the USA principle is nothing to do with the country, and it stands for Understand, Simplify, Automate. Let's go through each letter in turn and I'll explain what it means and how to apply it. So you understand. To understand a process, what we need to do is break it down into its constituent parts, look at each step in the process and ask ourselves these questions. What are the inputs to the process and what are the outputs to the process? What's the intended outcome? When the process evolved, as processes often evolve, what was the original idea and what has been added into that process? And do those additions improve the process or do they add additional complications or complexity that are actually not so necessary? So when we do this, and there are different methods that I'll talk to you in other videos about that can help you really analyze this. But once you've understood the process, you can make your decisions from a much more authoritative standpoint. You see, your business is actually a collection of systems. Your business isn't an actual thing, it's the emergent property of a collection of systems and systems within systems within systems. Once we understand that, we know that if we can improve our systems, we can improve our business. And so the first step, look at our processes, which comprise the systems. Work out what are the inputs and what are the outputs and what's happening in between. Then we can move on to the next letter, S for simplify. When we've asked ourselves, are there duplications here? Are we typing in data twice into two separate systems? Are there steps in the process that we don't need anymore because things have moved on, but they stayed in because they're part of the process? Is there copying and pasting that can be error prone? When we ask these kind of questions, we can then simplify the process by removing those additional parts, removing the bits that aren't needed anymore. Maybe changing steps so that we're not doing 5 steps when we only actually need 1 nowadays. So that's a process of simplification, to question the existence of each step in the process and to ask, is there a better way we can do this? Is there an easier, simpler way that we can do this? And lastly, to automate. Now we understand what the system is, what the processes that comprise that system are. And we've simplified them. We've worked out, well, actually, we don't need to copy something into one system and then another system. We don't need to cut and paste here and there. And that step saves to a spreadsheet that we're not even using anymore. Or we don't need to print this thing out. We can just email a PDF. There are lots and lots of solutions to problems that we encounter every day. But when we're looking at the big picture, it's not very easy to hone in on those individual aspects, because we're looking at the bigger picture and it's overwhelming. But when we've done this, when we followed this principle and looked at the individual processes one by one, then we can easily say, hey, I could use some robotic process automation to just automatically email that PDF to someone rather than print it out and stick it in the post. Yes, that's still happening. People are still doing that. And they're doing that because this is the way we've always done things. And therefore, this is what we do. And so the USA principle encourages us to question that. And so we can automate in many ways. We can move things from a contact spreadsheet over to a customer relationship management system. We can recognize that actually we might be using a customer relationship management or CRM system, but we've got a different system for sending out email newsletters. And so we need to export our contacts from one to the other, and that's time consuming or error prone and so on. So you might decide to use one system that does both of those things. So the use cases are multiple, and I definitely won't list them here now, but hopefully they'll start to become apparent to you once you understand that you can simplify and then automate. And then it becomes a matter of looking at each process and say, how can we automate that? Is there a system that exists? Might a piece of custom software do this for us that could pull in all sections of our process and all steps in our process and every part of the system, and multiple systems at that? Okay, so that's the USA principle. I hope that's useful. I hope that's got you thinking. Let me know in the comments below what it's got you thinking and whether you've grokked that concept and whether you feel that you can apply that to some of the processes in your business. Any questions, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to be able to make these videos answering specific questions that people are asking, because then I know I can really get in there and unravel problems and find solutions for you. Okay, thanks very much. Until next time.